did you what did you learn about your mom being able to forgive these people? Like, what did that tell you about yourself? Like, oh, what did it tell you about your mom?
Okay, about myself, I was like, wow, I got a lot of work to do on myself because my whole life, okay, is like a fight between hope and despair. That's an artist's life, though, so that's okay. Um, I was like, wow, I mean, it's just like my mom did live an entirely different, but I'm like, oh, she had a different life before I was born. And I write about this in the foreword to the book. I don't mean um like she didn't have a different life, like, before kids, she was, like, wild and then she settled down. I mean, like, before me, she was, like, literally a Muslim living in a converted Muslim in Saudi Arabia with 2 other kids and an entire network, and even in America, she wasn't living, we were in New York, like, she wasn't in New York, and she was a completely different person, and then somehow she had a second life that was, like, raising me, and then I think her 3rd life is sort of, like, now, it's still or maybe her 4th life after this is, like, her 4th life. Cats have 9 lives, thank goodness, we're not even halfway there, but I think her 4th life now is, like, she is in contact my sister's here, my brother's in Saudi Arabia, we're in contact with them. It's it's as close as, we're with them, and then I'm here too, and she's telling her story. It feels sort of like this is it. This is the phase of your life where you get every piece of it. You get
Right.
those, get your children and your American life, and you don't have to hide. So I learned a lot about my mom. Yeah. And I played her. Again, her character, the book goes from when she's 17 to when she's like 30 years old. And um, I think, I think, and I think the book has had has had mostly really positive responses. A couple reviewers were like, "Oh my God, I was shaking my head. Like, why did she keep going with this guy?" But most people were pretty sympathetic because they understand what it is. And to be in love and also to be a young woman and to be naive. Um, I just the thing that I think makes the story so successful and makes people get to the end of the book is that and she really accomplished this well. We accomplished it well when I was helping her type it. She accomplished it great with her editor. Is that my mom was very honest and kept herself really relatable. She didn't try to like pretend that she didn't make a mistake. She was real about what her life was like, the good and the bad, the fun things that kept her going and kept her there, the things that she was afraid of, all the red flags she ignored. I think we literally have that phrase in the book. And I think that honesty is what makes I again, like, 'cause I know some people were like, "Disgusting, like, what an idiot. How could you go with the guy from that country?" I know there are people like that who felt that way about the book. I saw a reviewer like, "I was shaking my head this whole time. 3 out of 5, 3.5 stars. What's up with her? Why did she keep going back to him?" I've seen people say that, but the overwhelming response is like, "Wow, I couldn't put it down. This poor woman, like, I can't believe it. I followed her journey. I can't believe what happened. I'm so glad she's found those kids again, but what a story." I think most of the people get through the book because of the way that it's written in a very relatable way, and that's hard to do because you have to basically agree to humiliate yourself if you're gonna do that. You have to expose yourself, and, I I'm really proud of my mom for doing that. I think that's why the book has people who've read it have really responded positively, and I hope that it takes, you know, parental alienation, which is I mean, that was, like, the theme of a lot of my childhood, the theme was, "This happened to me, how am I gonna get my mom actually shielded me from her grief, but when my siblings when they were, like, coming back
Hmm.
into orbit, reaching 16, 17 years old, parental alienation and abduction, cross international child abduction was a big was something that suddenly, like, I was, like, 10 years old and I knew about, like, the Hague Treaty, it was something we all knew about and talked about. It was really, like, the topic of it was something that my family was dealing with because they were getting to the age where we'd be able to find them, and my mom had been tipped off. I can tell you all that in a minute, but, I think the book is gonna be I hope the book, because it's so entertaining, I hope it brings a lot of eyes to this cause which is stopping this, being aware of this. And that's one good thing about having an entertaining book. I always think about this, which is like a lot of, especially in this day and age, like starting in the 2016 era, a lot of our media, a lot of our entertainment is like moralistic. It usually is based on like it's a metaphor for this struggle or that struggle, and that's fine. Struggle is part of the human experience, so I'm not necessarily judging that. But um, I always say to myself, okay, if the movie or the book was really interesting and sucked me in, and I learned something about the world from it, I learned something about somebody else's pain or my own pain from it, I'd prefer, as long as it actually entertained me and the story was good, I don't mind if it's like there's a lesson baked in. It's only when the thing is preachy that I'm like, this is dumb. It's just trying to make me, So
Right.
the book is it's honest. It's her story. It's quirky. Some things don't wrap up because it's life. Um, but it's it's really like relatable and entertaining to read. And I hope that that is a vehicle that brings more eyes to this issue. You
In
know,
other words, it's not a Hollywood movie. This is real life. This is exactly what happened. You have some
Real
loose
life.
ends.
Yeah, it has loose ends. And it's entertaining. But the thing is, like, it could be a Hollywood movie. I'm not just saying that because I'd like love it to be, but it actually, I think that if it was fiction, I'd be like, this makes no sense. This is preposterous. This is too crazy. You
You almost
can't
wish it
have
was.
much action. What?
You almost wish it was like a fiction.
Yeah. Oh my. Well, of course, then we wouldn't have all this pain in our lives. But if the book was a fiction, I'd be like, there's too much going on. This is too crazy. Oh my God. And then there's still no way. But it actually happened. And I think that does add an element of credibility. Like, I think that also is something that keeps people reading the book, is they're not just like, this girl was an idiot. She married this guy. She ignored every single red flag. She was 21 years old when she moved to Saudi Arabia in 1979. Okay, like this girl's an idiot. Instead, which my mom isn't. My mom's a brilliant woman, very intelligent and amazing, but we're all young
She's
once,
very
and
kind.
I agree. But, you know, instead, because it's a real person story, the fact that it's a real story, I think also adds to that element of reality and relatability, which is like, I better find out I have to find out what happens to her. And I like her because she's being real with me, even though she made a lot of mistakes. So I feel that's how I feel. I never said the name of the book, by the way. It's called Jedha Bride by
Yeah.
Patricia, my mother, forward by me.